Okay, let's get back to proc live test. Okay, and live test can do live table or Kaplan-Meier, and the default method is Kaplan-Meier or product limit. So you don't need to say method equal to, but if you need to do the bunch using proc live method equal to life, that will give you the proc live method. And the other things is that, okay, we know sooner or later we're getting into the, there is a distribution of some survival function or PDF or CDF. And then in that survival function, there are two different things involved. One is what distribution, is it Weibull, is it log normal? So you need to specify what distribution to use. And the other one we're gonna get into is that some variables are, for example, smoking is a bad habit, and say 1 pack a day, the likelihood to get lung cancer is high. So the survival function, the failure function, should move further to the left because of, so you're from 0 to 1, you're reaching 1 a lot faster, smoking versus non-smoking. The slope or the rate of changing will be a lot higher. So what we're going to end up doing is saying that, okay, or 1 minus the CDF is the PDF, the reliability function or the survival function. Which one gets a slope coming down quick? So we will get into, treatment 1 versus treatment 2, which one will come down faster? So usually before you start playing with the live regression, try to figure out which distribution to use or which parameter can change this regressions. You can use live tests, kind of like have a non-parametrics, just look at it. And when you look at it, two things you should know. One is the straight line. Okay, whenever you see the straight line, you know that the distribution is more likely to be the one useful, more likely. So you compare the survival function, log survival function, log survival function. When you look at all those plots, what are you looking at? You're looking at which one give me a straight line or look like a straight line. So the bottom line of playing with proc live tests was all the plot looking for straight line. And you remember your previous homework in the early days when you did the Excel file, you basically try to linearize the distribution. And when you try to linearize the distribution, sometimes 1 log is good enough to make it straight, but sometimes you need 2 log. In reality, there are some distributions can use 3 log, but that's beyond the scope of this class. And the other thing is that I usually think that if you start doing log, unless you really know the background of that distribution, otherwise, it just looks nice, and you don't have too much you can explain why it's a triple log. And so when you play with this, so obviously you need to compare with 2 live regression. In order to compare 2 live regression, you use the strata function to say that which variable you need to do strata. Okay, and strata also can be used for a range of variables. Say the prisoner, the inmates data, you can have them, at different age groups. Okay, to 20, and since there are no juvenile delinquent we're probably talking about 18 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, and 50 and above. You can put them in several different type of strata. You can strata them based on different cohort, different treatment, or you can strata them based on different age groups. Okay. One more thing is you can play with this by bundle them. When you guys have the Excel file before, we have the live table method. Live table method is the method usually used in insurance or even school. A lot of time we'll use a live table method. And I think I explained it at the time. Why you use the live table method? Because you're lazy. You don't want to check all the time. You only check after a certain window, okay? And finally, when you do this, okay, we talk about this many times, is we're really talking about a survival function based on a phase by phase or event by event counting. So here, if I consider that A is the shortest time, so from T2 to beyond, B is T3 and beyond, C is P4 and beyond. So if I said that someone survived all the way to PC, there's no such things. He survived, T4 and beyond. Because T4 and beyond means what? He must survive T2, T3, and then T4. So to survival C means he survived ABC. And once you write it down as this ABC format, this is a joint distribution, but this joint distribution is based on Bayesian's rule is, how can I survive B? Well, let's do it backward, okay? How can I survive C? I must survive AB. And how can I survive AB? So I need to times PRAB. PRAB equal to survive given A and B. So this whole thing's become chain rule. PA, given PA, then B. So survive T2, and T2, beyond T2, did I survive T3? And then after I survive both T2 and T3, how can I survive T4? Okay, and so the probability we're written here is conditional, conditional, conditional. But when you're doing this is, this event, and then on top of this event, and on top of this event. So we're having this one, 1 minus Q1 times 1 minus Q2, and then 1 minus Q3. This is the way how the expressions is based on, okay? One more things, also talk about it in the approximations on the hazard function part, is that since we did not open up and check, right? We're lazy. We don't check until we reach the break time or checking time. So we don't check. And so, for example, if some experiment, before you check, say fruit fries, before you check, there's 300 of them. And then before, the last check, and then you say, I'll wait for a certain period of time. And then I check again. Now only 200 left. So you know that there are 100 die. Maybe. Why? Because if you have 100 fruit fry die, you should have 100 fruit fries body. But if you only see certain amount of the bodies, you can only assume what? Some of those are missing in actions, some go somewhere. So you have two different type of event you need to check during the midpoint of time. It says that, during the midpoint of time, there are a number of events. That's the death, okay? And then you also need to check during the window is there are a number of withdrawal or censor or here we're using censor in a very loose way because censor originally means what? They decided not to join the party. They left. But if you're talking about fruit flies, you cannot, have the informed consent form from the fruit flies. Or you can check, say, is that originally I have this many, but now I only have this many body, so I know those are, half of them died. I can assume probably, there's a linear interpolations. Beginning was 200, at the beginning is 300, at the end of 200, there are 100. But that 100, you have to say that, well, how many bodies I have? If I have the bodies, I have the deaths. The other will be assuming that they disappear or they withdraw. So the withdrawal informations and the death information, we're just using half because it's a linear interpolations, okay? And some people, they don't like to differentiate this. You just say that, I'm just using half of the W plus D, okay? That's the, say, there's 100, 300 dropped to 200. So we say there are 100. Those 100 could be due to death or due to withdrawal, okay? And once you do that, you can have the live table, and then you can plot this, okay? And during this plot, we can plot the hazard function, and the code I'm using is the code using 49, or I think 41 is good enough. Okay, and this is the precipitate data, okay, on the inmate. And right now, we're talking about arrest, age, all the variables involved. And after that, there are 52 weeks of 0 and 1, okay? And 0 and 1 means what? After they release, are they working or they're not working? And if it's working, is 1, and not working is 0. And people tell me what does those ... means. See here, some of the data here show, like this guy, you can tell, 52 weeks, nice. So he wasn't get arrested again. And then after that, okay, there are variable about age, gender, everything. But after that, not working, and then work, not working, and then back to work again, okay? So this is something I will explain in detail later on. But here we're just saying that, how many weeks he survived, did he get arrested, and finance ratio prior, and educations, and employment data. But you can see some of the employment data is ... Okay? And the ... means what? There's no data. Why there's no data? In this case, it's very easy to explain. Look, he got arrested at week 17. If he got arrested after week 17, again, how likely he's still working? If he's still working, something wrong with our justice system, right? If he's got arrested, and then after that, we don't know if it's, there's missing data. So dot means missing data, okay? And look at here. If it's 52, no missing data. 52, no missing data. 52, no missing data. 23, we got missing data. Make sense now? Because, he got arrested. So 52, no missing data. And 37, you can see some missing or not missing data. Okay? And after we've done all this, okay, in the code, live test, proc live test method using live table, okay, this let SAS decide the batch. So the SAS decide every 10 weeks. But here, we copy the data set. Set, okay? Set means copy the data set from the original data set. We copy the original data set. And why we copy the original data set? We want to say this: if he's not got arrested, okay, so the arrest data is 0. He never get arrested again. Then the week equal to 53. Okay, we change the data set basically here. If the let's go back here. Here, if arrest is 1, then there's no way it's going to be 53. But if, okay, the arrest is 0, never get arrested, then you get 52, right? Right? But there is a possibility. This guy is kind of like what? Clean. Every week is doing the right things, but get arrested at week 52. Agree? But there's a possibility if he never get arrested, then we know that he survived the whole year. So at least we know he should be get 1 more weeks on his survival data. So that's why here we said if arrest is equal to, oh, hold on a second. Where is it? Okay, right here. So this statement here is saying that, okay, if he's not arrested, then we give him 1 more. We know that at least he survived till week 53. And if he survived all the way till 53, then when we redraw the live table, now we will have 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, but 50 is not 50 to 60. It's 50 to week 53, okay? And that's the way how we draw the whole things, okay? And then next, okay? Here we introduce a function that proc time. Last time I said that you can use strata to say that, okay, let me have a strata proc live here. Let me go. I will tell you guys this, okay? When I work for the insurance company in the real world, I don't like to just do this test and say, oh, which variable is significant, which variable is not significant. Which variable make the survival function shift to the left or shift to the right. Shift to the left means die quicker. Shift to the right means die slower. I don't like to just say that we speculate last time, right? Give them money probably would be good. Age could be a factor. Make them less, getting aging experience, less likely to get caught, or they have family or other things, they become mature, not get arrested again. So you can have all the variable tested, but sometimes I like to do this, okay? I like to, here, let me do it this way. Go back here. I like to do this. I will plot every variable, okay? So I will have reset, okay? And then I will have time. The time here is week, okay? And arrest or not arrest, that's the sensor variable, okay? And then I will have the strata for finance. That's one thing that I'll do. So I only want to test a couple. And then I can test for race. I can test for, let me just have a couple more. I can test for marriage status. And then I'll test for, and I only use those binary one because if it's more than 2, I need to have more symbol, and I don't want to spend time showing how to do the symbol because that's not, okay. And I'll have a marriage status. Yeah, I'll have a parole. Okay, let me do this. Let me save this a different name. Save as live test 3. Okay. Okay. Senorita, what did you just say? Find where I have this. The following program is found on page 52. Yeah. So the only things I did differently is before the 52. The 52 is basically doing this. This is the original statement. You only have this, right? Live test, data, time, when did you get arrested? When did you get into trouble? And arrest, if it's 0, yada, yada. But remember, we'll set the data set, okay? And using the 53, okay? And now, the things I'm trying to show you is this. At the end, they will say which variable is significant, making the shift obvious, using the log rank test and all the other tests. You remember we have 2 cohort, 2 different medicine, which one is useful, which one is not useful. And then if you have 3 groups and 4 groups, what are they going to do? Cohort A compare with cohort B, compare with cohort C, cohort B compare with cohort C, multiple comparison. It's like almost like experimental design. Remember we have this pair comparison. They're doing the pair comparison here for multiple groups. But I'm lazy here. I'm just saying that, okay, if there's 1 pair, compare 1 pair. And how you compare them, You just have two color. Finance, with or without finance. Here, technically speaking, if I say here finance is significant, your plot should somewhere show the two are far apart. Agree? And if you see that certain variables, say work experience is or marriage status make the difference, you should see that the two survival curve is different in this. Follow me? Yeah. So the page 52 way is the statistical way. But for system engineer, I would say that don't just give people a bunch of, I'm pretty sure if you have, you're doing some customer management and saying that, oh, I have customer with coupon, customer without coupon, is coupon significant? You don't want to just give your boss the log-rank test outcome. You want to do some plotting and explain what's going on. With me now? Yeah. Okay. So we're doing the same thing here. And so I create a 41 live test 3. This time we're doing multiple comparison with this data set. Make sense? Okay, we'll run it. This is not good. Okay, first thing first, they showing which variable is significant using the chi-square test one by one, and just go. Let's just. Okay. Finance, almost significant, right? 0.05, maybe, right? Age we did not test, but age is significant. Okay? They have probably multiple age group. Race is not significant. Okay? Work experience is significant. Okay? Do you guys think that makes sense? If someone got previous work experience, they are more likely to get a job after they on parole, and they are more likely to, they have probably better social network to get jobs and work experience. Okay, and marriage status, significant or not significant? Marriage is significant, okay? And prior is parole or not parole is not significant. So let's go to look at the chart, okay? And this is a lot of work, but I would just I would like to show you one by one quickly. Okay, this is a product limit or life for which variable? Finance, and can you tell they're a little different? Here, if you look at a log finance, they're split, but not heavily split. Agree? Next, let's look at the I would also tell you guys do this, okay? You can copy, print this in PDF, and then grab the picture one by one and put it in your report later, okay? And now this is which one? Homogeneity for what? Oh, race. Okay, and you can tell race is not significant. They're almost overlap. Okay. what's this one? Marriage. Okay. I'll say this is a pretty significant difference. With or without marriage here shows differences. Okay? And parole status, very close. And that's, okay? So the first things I'll tell you is that in your documentation, you probably use table like this to say which one is significant, which is one is not significant. But if you want to say that, well, then marriage is good or marriage is bad, then you need to use the plot to show the differences. And for example, like the finance, right? You said that it's very close, and how close for example, you could encounter your boss and said, well, then we should put finance under considerations. Then you need to use the plot to say that here's the evidence. Close, but how close? Rather than just showing the table here. You guys follow me? Yeah. Those figure is good for speculation and communication. That's the reason why we like to show this. And one more is at the very beginning, okay? On the live table here, okay? We would like to show the live table. Here's the one, 50 to 60. And in reality, we cannot say 50 to 60 because we don't really know. It could happen, right? After week 53, everybody got arrested. So you need to say that I only know that, okay, I check on the first week, first 10 weeks, 14, 21, 23, 23, 26, 7, and 0. People, just by looking at this, arresting record, okay? Do you think that there's a difference on when they get arrested? I'll say this: the first 10 weeks, they just got out. They need time to, even if they want to commit crime, they probably need time to reconnect with their, criminal record, right? The mafia needs time to get introduced to the bad network. So first week is low. I think makes sense. What about 50 to 53? At the end of the year, how come the arresting record is low? And there's also another justification is what? Holiday season, right? But somewhere in between here, would you agree with me? We don't really see them kind of like increase dramatically, kind of like just flat.
It's consistent.
Yeah, pretty consistent. And so the plot is showing pretty consistent on the survival curve. That makes sense, right? So, or the hazard functions kind of like grow. Even you said that there is a growing trend. The growing trend is pretty tiny. So one thing I would say that if I really want to model this, if using this window by window, my gut feeling would be what? Probably exponential distribution if my window is big. But if I cut my window smaller and smaller, then I need to check, is there anything else changing the things? So But right now, the evidence pretty much suggests, hey, if I model this every 10 weeks, exponential will work, okay? Okay, fine, I'll say. Then let's go back to the Word file, okay? And testing the variable by variable, okay? One thing I need you guys to understand, this is not doing really well in SAS to explain it, but, okay, when I cover design experiment, I talk a lot about confounding. And what is confounding? Victoria, do you still remember?
I remember hearing it. I don't remember.
Okay. Let me. Okay, let me put it this way. You can explain my behavior. She can explain my behavior. You can explain 40% of my behavior. She can explain 30% of my behavior. So combine two of you together can explain 70% of my behavior. True or not true?
Not true.
Because two of you could explain pretty much the same things. So sooner or later, these things we're playing with here, finance, age, work experience, sometimes we will start playing with this, what we call kind of like model accounting. What are we trying to do here? Is if I introduce one variable, and then I introduce another variable, the explaining power doesn't increase much. Do I really want to have both of them? And so at that time, we're using the so-called greedy algorithm, is that using the one explaining the most. So one way to do this, say I have A, B, C, D, E, 5 variables to explain my behavior. First run A along, B along, C along, D along. Each one of them will explain some of my behavior, right? Find the one explain the most. So now you say covariate B is in. And after B is in, you have A, C, D, E left. The other variable you can use. Now you say that keep A. Then now I will have, keep my biggest one, B. Now I have BA, BC, BD, BE. You want to see the marginal improvement of adding another variable. And again, you pick the one, BA, BC, BD, BE, whichever can give you the most explaining power, you keep that one. And now you use 2. Then you say that, okay, I use BC. B and C are the top 2. Now you say, okay, let me add one more person in. And which one should I pick? And I usually explain this as almost like in the gym. You play a basketball pickup game. And usually the captain is the one who plays really well. So captain will say, okay, let me pick the first guy. When I pick the first guy, captain say, I'll pick John. John will be in my team. But after I pick John, okay, John and I play well together. Now, do I want to have Tom or the third person? Who should I pick? You don't want to pick the one that can duplicate whatever the captain's doing or the lieutenant John is doing. You want to pick someone can marginally benefit your explaining power. So here, we're not there yet, but this is the part that we're dealing with the, each one are variable. Just by looking at this, I would just say which one is going to be a good one. Prior should be in. And then race should be in, or certain variable should be in. But once you have those variable in, you start looking at, what's the extra variable can provide the explaining power. You guys follow me? So it's always kind of like build a team. Oh, grow a little bit. When I grow, what can I get out of it? And you should stop if you don't see anything good to use. And the term in modeling accounting is called principle of parsimony. Okay? And principle of parsimony, parsimony is the word means very stingy. Okay? Or parsimonious model. And what is stingy means? You don't want to use extra variable unless you feel is necessary. And this actually sometimes translate into other explanation or communication. People call it KISS principle. And what's KISS principle means? Keep it simple and stupid. Yeah, right? Why you want to do that? Because you basically tell people something. If you need to, communication, if other people use 100 pages to explain something, okay, and at the end, only 80% of people can understand it. But if I can use 5 pages, 70% of people can understand it. You want to use that 5 page, or you want to use that 100 page, right? So, based on that argument, reading Cliff Note about Shakespeare, about Hamlet, versus reading the real things, which one is better? If you just need to write a 500 words report, Cliff Note is good enough. Okay? Okay. So get back to the explanations. Right now, all you care about is some variables are useful to explain who will get arrested, who will not get arrested, but we're not getting into the accounting. And also, there's one more thing. In the accounting, you should keep in mind. Exponential distributions, how many variables we use? Because in exponential distribution, lambda is the mean, lambda is the standard deviation. There's no other variables involved, one variable. So you know that exponential distribution because you assume what? Memoryless. So one variable. So if I can use exponential distribution to explain something, I'll use exponential because I'm only using one variable. But sometimes I'll say that, okay, if I don't want to use exponential, I use Weibull or log normal. Weibull got what? Besides the exponential distributions variable, on top of that, you have a shape parameter, remember? And log normal, you have the mean and standard deviation. So now you start saying, okay, I add more parameter to describe the transfer function. Worth it or not worth it? And the third one is, if I'm just want you to convince people, should give all the inmates financial support before they get out of the, join the society, then all I care about is what? To prove that certain variable is useful. So you need to be careful. Do I really need to have a parameter assumption about a transfer function? For example, right now in higher educations, people argue about what? Student loan. A lot of people owe a lot of student loan after they graduate. And then they start asking the questions, is it, is worth it to owe them much money to get a degree. And of course, the argument is what kind of degree? What is the earning potential to get the money back? Okay, and I don't like to say this, but this is recorded anyway. Some family, they have 2 or 3 kids need to go to college. Do you guys think is a reasonable way to, get some AP courses done, and so you can waive and get some community college credit hours cheaper on those, general liberal literature, certain courses before you join regular college for more technical stuff? Well, if GPA is GPA, does it really matter? You got your English 1 from community college or you got it from regular college, okay? And so you can use that argument here the same way. Is the 3 things you're talking about. For survival, how many variables do I need to have? Do I really need to have all of them, right? And if to get a good jobs, do you really need to have everything, or you only pick those things you need? 2, among those things you need, which one you should do first? Take the most nutritious one first. And on top of that, what kind of balanced nutrition was good for you? The third one is, okay, if you can have all of them, sometimes all you care about is how effective is that one. Do you really need to know the parameter of the whole package? Okay, and you can use that thinking. I usually call it modeling accounting, and you can use that to talk about a trade-off. Okay, and here I'll say that read chapter 3. Okay, now we get into chapter 4. Chapter 4 really is about modeling the whole things using a regression function. And keep this in mind. The regression we're talking about here is pretty much live regression. And if we're doing live regressions, okay, it's not a linear regression. Okay? It's not y equal to something something. Is the transfer function. How quick the failure reaching 1, that transfer function can be changed due to how quick we're going to exhaust. The probability of dying is 100%. We care about the shape of the function influenced by how many covariate. Okay, so this is like the logistic regressions or the other regression. Usually, when you're doing with example like this, we're using maximum likelihood to model it. Okay, or if you want to say that, well, but I like least square, I just want to go back to the explanation to experimental design using least square, then you need to transform them into a linear form in order to do that kind of model. Okay, so then you need to do variable transformations, and in this class, depends on how much time or your interest, I can show you how to do it, but generally we're using maximum likelihood. Next things I'm going to explain in this is so-called accelerated testing. Okay, and what is accelerated testing? And the analogy is, do you guys have dog? Okay, usually we say 1 dog here equal to 7 or 8 humans here. right? So if your dog is 10 years old, it's almost like he's 70 years old, right? So we're using the same concept here. And I'll share with you my personal experience, okay? I was in grad school in the 80s. Ronald Reagan was the president. And Ronald Reagan said to the Soviet Union, Mr. Gorbachev, please tear down this wall. So how he did that, he built up our military might, very, very strong, and compete with the Soviet Union. And of course, the Soviet Union bankrupt at the end. And so we won the war, the Cold War, okay? Although now we have doubt if something is gonna come again. Here's the part how Ronald Reagan did at the time. He created a space program called Star Wars. And what a Star Wars did is they have laser or some high-tech weapon carried by our satellite. So if we detect the Soviet gonna, launch all their cruise missile, and our killer satellite, Star Wars, will use the laser beam, shoot or those cruise missiles and prevent them crossing the Pacific or Atlantic. Okay, and sounds very ambitious, right? But at the time, do you think Soviet believed that's the case? Yeah. So they need to put in a lot of their brain power and resources for the competitions. But in the United States, that's always in the research phase. And one of my professor actually got projects from that. And what kind of project? Survival analysis project for a killer satellite. You know what's that all about? You launch your satellite into space. Are you gonna use it immediately? There's nothing to shut down or shoot, right? So you have to wait in the space 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. You don't know when, the evil empire gonna launch the cruise missile. So you need to have those killer satellites wait in space for 10, 20 years in a dormant mode. And one day, the president said, okay, wake up those satellites, we need to do something. And what's the risk? Space is a very, very harsh environment. Solar wind, very cold, very hot. You don't know if this killer satellite's gonna be still functional 20 years from now. So one way to do that is what? Do a test in a very, very cold, very, very harsh environment. Test it for 20 years until we figure out the best design. And then you put the satellite in the space. But that will be too late, right? So one way to do that is what? You build an environmental chamber. And then you put those model or the killer satellite under the harsh environment. And then torture the solar wind, the X-ray, whatever, gamma ray, again and again and again in a very intensified period of time. And it's almost like every 1 year of torture equal to 7 years of the regular exposure in space. So you torture that satellite 10 years equal to torture that satellite 70 years. And that test is called accelerated testing. So basically you compress the time scale into a very, very intense time scale in order to figure out what's going on, okay? And that kind of test is called accelerated testing. I can give you another example, and is that, do you guys ride motorcycle? Yeah, what kind? Okay, that's the good one I'm gonna talk about. Harley-Davidson's V-Rod. In the 90s, they tried to revive their Milwaukee plant and come up with a new design. Why? Because the Goldwing, the Kawasaki the Japanese and the BMW, European, they start dominating the market. And in the United States, they're losing their market share. Okay, so they say they want to come up with a new design, but the new design must, one, maintain the prestige, and they also need to have that thump 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 noise from the exhaust, the typical Harley-Davidson sound. So when they build a V-Rod, they say, oh, we need to have a radiations or everything start from scratch. They want to build a new one to compete with the Kawasaki, compete with the BMW. The problem is, who's buying the motorcycle other than Hells Angel? Doctors, lawyers, Hells Angel wannabe. So how long they keep the motorcycle? Are they using it for commute? No. They're weekend warrior. They only use it, on weekend. So the lifespan they keep the motorcycle usually is more than 10, 15 years. And the V-Rod, sometimes collectible items. It depends on how you remodel it. So again, Harley-Davidson face the same things. We design these whole things, but we don't know who our customer could be from Arizona, could be from Alaska, from very, very cold to very, very hot environment. They're gonna ride a motorcycle or keep the motorcycle for a long, long time. So they need to torture the motorcycle enough to know the reliability. Can they wait 10 years and then push out their new model? That'll be too late. So they need to also compress the time and say that we'll put it in an environmental chamber. We'll torture these things in a very, very intense situations. And if we do this in 1 month, equal to we do this in 30 years. You follow me? And that's called accelerated testing. So in the accelerated testing, they will put in the time. The time here, they also talk about 1 equal to 7 to do that test. So once they do that, okay, now they're saying that the time, okay, is not equal to a linear function. Is a log time equal to a linear function? So the log of the whatever they're trying to test equal to beta 0, beta 1. Oh, I'm using the motorcycle in dry environment or very high humidity environment. Say X could be humidity. Okay, humidity good for motorcycle or bad for motorcycle? Bad, right? Sandy environment, I'm gonna ride off-road or highway. Okay, and that again, the conditions, every conditions will change your log of your life. Some will make the log life long. Some will make the log life short. So the parameter could be positive, could be negative. And again, some of the parameters here are related, and some of the parameters here are independent. And finally, pay attention to this model here, okay? You will have an error term, but the error term always have the sigma associated with it. The sigma is the variations, the error terms, parameter. And why we need that? Because for the following reasons, okay? One, once we have this log, of course, you can say, if this is a log, and I can take the exponential. So people pay attention here. You see here, time is exponential of something, something. And you can say all this something, something equal to phi, overall phi of, so all the torture. But that phi, okay, could be strongly influence your error term or not influence your error term. So we need to use different distribution to discuss those distributions, okay? And right now I'm gonna just say that in is it intuitive to you too that it's not the time as a regression, is a log time is equal to a regression, but also that the error term is not a constant error term. There's a parameter associated with that error term. Is that intuitive to you now after all the Excel torture? We're saying there, if you can log this and then when you exponential this, you get your time, okay? So now in live regressions, the way how we write this is rather than proc live test, data equal to something. Now is proc live reg, live regression, and then after live regression we have the model, and after model is what? I have the survival time, and then the censorship, and after that equal to a bunch of covariate, things I'm interested in, okay? And finally, you will define, which kind of distribution should I use? I can have a distribution equal to log normal, I can have a distribution equal to Weibull, equal to any exponential, anything you experience in our Excel, now you can do it here, okay? Now, this is page 64, so let me find page 64, and let's try one for fun. Okay. Let's use this one. Okay. So for this one, I want you guys, everything's the same like live test, except, okay, we're gonna model this as a bunch of covariate. Look at here. What's the difference between what I did? Do I have any covariate here? You can do that. I don't think it's written in the books. If you don't have any covariate, it means what? I only have the shape, the parameter to describe it. And so I would like you to try this, okay? And you can have log normal. Now I have exponential. And log normal. Okay. And run. Okay. If you run this, okay, you will see it will have the live regression equal to Weibull distribution, and then they will give you all the parameter. The intercept term is your beta 0 term, okay? But there's no covariate associated with it, okay? And you can have exponential distribution. Can anybody tell me why exponential distribution I don't have shape parameter? Because shape equal to 1, right? So you don't need shape parameter. And I must have made a mistake somewhere. Why didn't it run? Okay, so I would like you to run this, this one, and I'll explain it to you Monday next week, how to use that parameter, compare with the one with one parameter and two parameter, and then start saying that, okay, should I use this parameter? What can I get out of it? Because even here, if I give you all the shape parameter and this everything, can you plot it in Excel? Of course you can, because this is your Excel homework before. Except now I give you the parameter, the shape parameter, the value, rather than say, oh, put 2 in, put 3 in. You just put in the value, SAS told you, because SAS using maximum likelihood figure out that value. You follow me now? Yeah. And then what we're doing is, every time we've done this, we start saying that, okay, give them more money, give them more education. Is it good for them or bad for them? How much CVAR can I gain? Can I keep these things last a little longer, or I'm not going to gain much on the residual life, given I'm already survived this long. Okay, so yeah, this example I'm going to turn them into more like a system engineering decision-making example after this. Okay.